So you are now an author. You wrote a book, In a Prior Life.
Mm-hmm.
May we see it?
Yeah.
Exhibit A. What prompted you to write this book?
Well, when I first started with the book, it was telling what it was like being a child of a celebrity. By the time I was finishing the book, it was about how can I help somebody out who's going through some stuff? How can I help them out? How can I show, the dark roads I've been down, the darkness I've lived in, the dark tunnels that I've saw no light out of. How could I come out of those things and tell about those stories, and maybe somebody else can be inspired by it or accept it or want to pass it to somebody, anything like that. I even had a lady in California when I was out there for the daytime Emmys that she purchased 30 books for it was like a rehab shelter place because she felt that they would get something from the book. That's all I want about the book. I want people to not just be entertained, but to see somebody's struggles and see them coming out of the struggles and their darkness.
How'd you write the book? How'd you remember all the stories, the moments?
Well, what I would do, I would first start it off with a piece of paper, several pieces of paper, and I would write down, I was born. I write down my mother before she moved to Peoria, Illinois, and I would write points that I could remember, and I would go through all those points, and I ended up with 133 points. And then out of those points, I decided what I would want in the book. And then I would go to those particular points and press record and just talk about it. The whole situation, from start to ending. And I would do that about every story. And then that would open up also my memory of something else I may have forgotten, or maybe I, pushed down deep inside, and also now I would remember that, and then I talk about that. And that's how the book was formulated.
Was it a catharsis being able to put those stories in print and being able to go out there and tell your stories and some of the pain and tragedy that you've been through?
Yeah, it was definitely therapeutic, but it also brought up a lot of things that you may have suppressed in your life, the things that you've gone through that you didn't realize had an impact on you as much as it did until you started talking about it. So that was always really good, talking about something, even though it was painful going through the motion of recording and all that stuff, because sometimes I would get physically ill talking about certain things when I would, especially when I knew I was going to talk about something. My back would hurt, I couldn't function, I was sick, and I had to force myself to do it. But in turn, it helped me out because it was like releasing all that luggage.
From releasing these stories and telling these stories, were you able to trace back and discover where the addiction came from or why you may have started using drugs?
Yeah, actually, because I didn't think me being molested when I was younger a lot. I didn't think that it would have had an impact on me. I didn't think people taking advantage of me sexually when I was underage had an impact on my life. I didn't think any of those things had an impact on anything until I started doing the book. And it was like light bulbs going off. Oh my gosh, this is probably why you did this. This is probably why you stayed doing this, and all those things. So it released a lot of things.
Do you speak about abuse in the book?
Yes, definitely.
Was it an ongoing thing, or?
Yeah, I think when you look at it, I've not been as abused as a lot of people, but it was more than an average thing of happening. It happened quite a few times and with multiple people, so it was never like just one person that only did it. I found out it was like this person or a cousin or an uncle, a friend, and then when I was a teenager, realizing that, which I didn't realize till I was writing the book, that me fooling around with older men when I was like 17, 18, didn't realize that I was being molested then, because I hadn't even thought of it that way. I just thought of me fooling around with somebody who was older. And then when I was writing the book, it was like, oh my gosh, these were grown men.
When you say grown, are we talking 20s, 30s, or
20s,
40s?
30s, and 40s. Yeah. And it's different. It's weird how people look at when a male goes through being sexually abused, it's like, did they ask for it, did they want it? Versus a female the same age going through it, it was like, oh, she's being taken advantage of. And I think that's one thing that's like really a sad slope that we're on when we deal with young boys that go through this thing. That's why you don't get a lot of people that want to talk about what they've gone through, because they're immediately attacked and said, well, what did you do to bring this on to yourself? When you could have a girl the same age goes through the exact same thing, and it's like how horrible of a thing that they went through, had to endure that. And I think the dynamics of it need to change as far as the way we look at young men who go through what I went through.
Were all the abusers male?
All but one.
So there was a female abuser?
Yeah.
What would you tell someone that went through that type of abuse? How would you bring them through to the other end?
Well, first of all, let them know you're not alone. If they're talking to me, if they feel that they're open enough to discuss things with me, you're not alone. I understand what you've gone through. Because people need compassion. They need to understand that you know and you feel what they feel. You know, I've been through this thing, and let's walk through this together. You know, maybe I can share something with you that I've gone through, or that you don't have to go through that I went through, that I can share my life story to you, because we feel like a lot of times when we go through things that we're on a boat by ourselves and no one's ever been on that boat or no one's ever gotten off the boat. So basically sharing with people that, you know, this impacts me too, because I know exactly what you're going through. They just want to hear that you're compassionate and understand, and you're there with them, and you're not going to turn your back on them.
Is it something you can ever get over, or something you could deal with better?
I think you can deal with a lot of things better. There are certain things in life I believe that you can get over. But I also think that there are certain things in your life that are so traumatic that you can get past that. It's not that it's not there anymore, but it no longer dictates your life, of how you're going to live your life. It's no longer the most important thing that you constantly think about. It's to where you're able to function and go through life and live life successfully.
So you can make a direct tie between the drug abuse
Yes.
and the abuse of the child.
Definitely.
And that was a way to mask the pain.
Mask the pain, not feel it.
Now, at that time, you said you were involved with older men, and
Mhm.
you've been involved with men in your lifetime. And now, are you still involved with men?
No. That's what's so, how do I put this? That's what's so amazing about life, how that you think you're on one road for the rest of your life, and then you realize that the thing they're telling you to make a right on this road, to go this direction. And that's the way my life is now. It's not something I look for, or like saying this is what I want, but I think certain times in our life, things just click a little bit in our mind and in our hearts, that we go with it. Even though we may not understand the walk, we just go along the journey and keep taking the walk. And it's like being in the dark. You keep taking a step, and every step you take, it gets lighter and lighter. And I believe that's where my life is now.
Do you think you would have been involved with men if not for the abuse at an early age?
That's something I really don't know. I think that played a serious role in it, because for one thing, that's really all I ever really knew. That's all I really ever knew about compassion and about somebody showing me what I considered at the time love and affection. And that's all that you've ever had. That's all you know.
Not to get too personal, but was your first experience with a man or with the
Male.
with the male? And you could trace it back to this time. I know that faith is a big part of your life.
Right.
You've been a Buddhist, you've been a preacher.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your faith background, and do you speak about it in the book?
Well, yeah, I talk about it now in my book because, like, for instance, my ex-wife is now my pastor, which is a thing that I would have never imagined happening in my life. So that's why I say life, you never know what is in store, your next step, as long as you keep taking the steps forward. I dealt in Buddhism, everything, trying to find direction. And this within my life where it's at now, it's like being back on a road that I've been on before, but I understand the road now. So that's where I'm at now. My faith in Christianity, that's the road I'm choosing to take right now.
How did Buddhism affect your life, and how did Christianity affect your life?
I think more so with Buddhism, it was a thing of me just feeling a part of something. That was the energy I got from Buddhism, because I never quite really understood it. It was like doing something, they're like, oh, chant this, and you're like, well, what does it mean? No one can, well, tell me, just chant it, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's kind of one of those things. I believe it was just a thing of just being a part of, I think. The thing with Christianity, I think, because I was, the way I was raised and, in church and being in church all the time, you feel a sense of comfort and peace. And that's the difference that I feel within like Buddhism or Christianity.
And how does Christianity affect you?
As far as the way I look at life, the way, the direction I see things going, the way I speak to people, the way I conduct myself, the way I want people to see the better part of me in my life. It's always there, always thinking about that, always, how I could, smile at somebody. Sometimes a smile means more than anything to somebody. All those little things that we take for granted, I no longer take for granted. Having an impact on someone's life the smallest way I can, whether it's just a hello or something, can show them something, show them some type of love. Maybe they don't have it all. Buy my book.
Where can they buy the book?
In a Pryor Life. You can purchase it on Amazon or at Bear Manor Media, BEAR Manor Media, right here.
Hold on, I'll zoom in. Hold it there. Don't move. Got it.
Okay. Or you can go through me at inapryorlife.com, and you can actually purchase a book through me if you want an autographed signed copy.